Hello, everybody. Welcome to one more session on AWS. Let us see the agenda for this particular session. In this particular session, we will see what is a web server and how to make a Windows server. We'll create a Windows server and install a web server software called as IAS. Similarly, Unix based operating systems, like we will create a Ubuntu server and install web services software which is called as Apache 2. And on Linux, we'll install HTTPD. On Debian server, we'll make it as a Nginx web server, and we'll create CentOS and install Apache 2 on that. So all these web servers are used to host a website. Okay. First of all, what is a web server? So now we create EC2 instances for different reasons. One is to host a website. Second, to host a database. That means to install database. And third, some application software, etc. So application or this to make it as an email server. There are a lot of use cases why we create EC2 instance. Now, the first thing, to host a website. So to host a website, the server should have some capability or some software so that that can become capable of hosting a website. So different operating systems has different web server software. For instance, Windows has a software called as IIS. It is a web server software. Once we install that, it has the capability to host a website. Now this softwares, we can call it as packages. Okay, it is there with the OS, but we have to install it. Okay, as a package, we have to install that package on that particular operating system, then it will work as a web server. So in this particular session, we are going to create the different operating systems and the web servers. Let me go to the AWS console. First, we will create a Windows server and install IIS on top of it. All right. Let me go to my AWS console. I'm on AWS console now. Let me go to instances to create an instance. You see there's an option called as launch instance here. Select this option and I will name this server as Windows Web Server. Okay. And the image I have to choose is a Windows image. Okay, AMI, I'm choosing a Windows AMI, and Windows Server 2022 image, that is fine with me. And the instance type is T2 macro, that is also fine. Let me create a key pair to log into this particular server. Select this option called as key pair. I'll give it as web server. It should be .pem because it is a Windows file. And select this option called as create a key pair. You see, this web server .pem is downloaded here. And now I will leave it as VPC as default. In the security group, I will add RDP port, HTTP and HTTPS to open a web port so that the server can get requests from anywhere from the web through HTTP protocol. If it is secured website, then it is HTTPS protocol. So I'm opening both the ports, and storage I will leave it as default and select option called as launch instance. Okay, now the instance is getting launched. Select option view all instances. Now you see the Windows instance, it is pending. Let me choose that. This may take about a moment for the server to be created. Let us wait for a minute here. Let's connect to the instance here. Let's go to RDP client. You see there's an option called as get password. Now select this option, upload private key file. The PEM file that we have downloaded, we need to upload here. Okay, this is the PEM. Select option open. Now decrypt the password. So this is the password and this is the username. To connect to the server, select this option called as download remote desktop file, or else we can simply go to RDP as well. Let's say this is the server, select option connect. Okay, and this is the password. Select option OK, select yes. Now we are connecting to this particular web server. Okay, now you see it is logging in as a user called as administrator. Okay, now meanwhile, let me take this IP address of this server, go to instances, go to web server, copy this that public IP address. So public IP address is the one which we need to use. Copy this public IP address, put in the web browser, and you see we are not able to see anything, right? Now, if this has to become web server, we need to download web server software on this Windows. The web server software on Windows is nothing but IIS. So that is a feature on Windows Server operating system. Now let us see, let the system come up. You will see something called as Server Manager. It's coming up. Let us wait for another 3 to 4 seconds. Now you see the Server Manager window has come up. Now in this, there is an option called as Add Roles and Features. Select this option. See, the Server Manager is collecting data. Let us wait for a few more seconds. Let us try that again. Okay, yeah. Select this option next. Role based feature installation. Select next. Select next. Okay, now here the feature name is called as Web Server IS. Okay, select this option, Add Features. Click on Next, 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 and Install. So basically, it is installing the Web Server IS now. Okay, the installation may take about 15 to 30 seconds time. Let us wait. See the installation started. Okay, the installation is in progress now. Let us wait for a few more seconds. Now, if we see the installation is succeeded, let me close this. Okay, now let me minimize this. Now, previously I went to the web browser and we saw that it threw us an error. Now let me refresh this. You see, this has opened a default web page. Now, after that, we can write our own code, update the HTML code in that folder called as www root. The page will come up. Okay. This is how we can create a web server software called as IIS on Windows. Now, let us see how to create a Ubuntu server and install Apache 2 web server software and host a website on that. Let me scroll down. Go to EC2 instances, go to option called as launch instance, go to this option called as launch instance, and I will give it as Ubuntu web server, okay, as the name. Because we want to create a Ubuntu server, select the image as Ubuntu, scroll down, key pair, let me use a key pair called as let me use same key pair, that's fine. Okay, and open the ports HTTP and HTTPS. Okay, select this option called as launch instance. Okay, now the instance is getting launched. Go to instances. We can see the Ubuntu server, it is pending. Click on this option. Now let us wait for a moment so that we'll get the option called as connect. Okay, let's wait for a minute. You see, there's an option called as connect here. Select this option connect. EC2 instance connect to connect in a web browser. Okay, I'm connecting to this instance. See, the instance got connected with a user called as Ubuntu. Let me change to the root user, sudo su. Let me go to the root folder. Okay, I'm on a logged in as a root or user in a root folder. Okay, now let me update the software. Sudo apt update. This will update the Ubuntu packages. Okay, it is updating. Just give it a minute. Okay, now install Apache software. Sudo apt install Apache 2 hyphen y stands for yes. So I'm installing Apache 2 on this particular server. Okay, it is 98% scanning progress. It is done. Let me go here, copy the server IP address. Okay, copy the server IP address. Let me go to this web browser and put there. We can see the default Ubuntu page coming up. Okay, so now let us change the default code. Okay, where the default code will be there. Now if I do ls, you'll find some default folders. You see there's a folder called as var. Let us enter using cd var. I'm in the folder called as var. Let us say ls. So after installing this web server, you will see a folder called as www. Okay, now go into that cd www, enter ls. Now you see there is a folder called as html. Enter into that folder html ls. You will see there's a index.html. Now let's see what is there in that file. You see this is all the default code that you see here. Okay, now I want to change that. How can I change that? I have some code, html code. Let me put that html code. The file name is index.html. I want to just uh, remove all those things. Okay, now let me go to vi index.html. Okay, insert. Let me copy my html code. Okay, this is the html code that I want the website to be up. Copy this html code and paste it here. Escape, save and exit. Okay, now it is done. Now let me go to this and refresh this page. Now you can see the website. This is my website code. So as soon as I change that html file, my website is hosted on this particular server. As soon as I put the IP address of the server, because we made that as a web server and we have given the website code, we can see the website is hosted in minutes. Okay, that is how you can host a website on Ubuntu with the help of Apache. All right, now let us see, create a Linux instance and install httpd on it. Let me minimize that. Go to my EC2 console, instances, select option launch instance. Let me name the server as Linux web server. Okay, I'm choosing the OS as Amazon Linux, and everything else I will select the same defaults. I'm enabling HTTP and HTTPS ports. select option launch instance. The only difference now is that the OS is going to be Amazon Linux and the web server software that we're going to install is called as HTTPD. Let me go to view all instances. You see there's a Linux web server. Let me select this option. Okay, you see there's an option called as connect. Click on that. And this red Amazon Linux, the default username is called as EC2 user. Okay, select option connect. It is opening in a web browser. Now let me go as a sudo user. Sudo user means root user. Let me go to root folder. Okay, let me update the Amazon Linux OS updates. That we can do sudo yum is the utility update. Okay, it is saying nothing to update, everything is updated. Now let us install HTTPD. Sudo yum is the utility, install HTTPD. Okay, and enter. It is asking, do you want to install? I'll say yes. Enter Y. It is installing. Okay, now HTTP is installed. Let me go back, copy this IP address. Okay, and then paste it here, enter. Now you see it didn't come because on Amazon Linux there are two more commands that we need to run. We need to start this service. Sudo systemctl start HTTPD. Enter. Okay, and then let me also enable this. Okay, this service is enabled. Let me go here now, refresh that. Now you see a default page, it works is updated. Now similarly, we can also put an index.html file in this server and you'll also be able to see the same thing. Okay. Now let's see, let's go to this folder called as var ls. You see this folder called as www ls. You see this folder called as html cd html and ls. Inside this you will find let us create a index.html file here. Okay, enter. Let me copy my code. Let me paste here. Okay, it is done. Now let me copy the IP address and put that on the web browser. And you see my same website is up by using the HTTPD web service as well. Okay, so if it is Linux, we can use HTTPD. Right, let us see what is the next. Next, let us create a Debian server and install another web server called as Nginx server. Okay, for that, let me create another server for that. Let me go to console, go to EC2 instances, select option launch instance. I'll select this as Debian. Now here, let's select the image as Debian image. Okay, you see there's a Debian image there. Let me use the same key pair and I'll use the same. I'll enable HTTP, HTTPS and select this option called as launch instance. All right, now let me go to the instances. You see this option called as Debian. me refresh this. Let's wait for a minute so that the instance will be created. We can log into that. You see the instance state is running now. Let us select this option called as connect. You see the default username for Debian is admin. Select this option called as connect. Let me select connect again. Okay, there is a problem with the SSH connection, I guess. Let us do one thing. Let us connect to this server by using PuTTY. Okay, let me go here. Go to PuTTY. Okay, let me open PuTTY here. And let me copy the IP address of the server. Go to instances, Debian server, copy the IP address, paste it here. Okay, and go to SSH, auth, credentials, browse, and put the PPK file that we have used, EFS PPK. Select option open, select option open. Accept. The username here is admin, enter. Okay, now you see we are able to connect to this particular server. All right. Now let us make it as a web server. Before that, let me go as root user and then go to root folder. Let me clear the screen and then let me install the update OS update sudo apt update. The syntax that we have used on Ubuntu, it will be same syntax here. And then install Nginx sudo apt install Nginx, enter. There's a spelling error. It will be Nginx. Let me run this. It is asking, do you want to install? Yes. So the default Nginx web page will be coming up. Let me copy the public IP address and paste this in the browser. And you see, it is saying welcome to Nginx. Okay. That is how we can install Nginx web server on Debian. Okay, so what we have finished till now, we created the Windows Server, installed IIS, Ubuntu and Apache. Linux, on Linux we have installed HTTPD. On Debian we have installed Nginx Server. Now let us create a CentOS and install Apache on CentOS. Okay, that means we are trying to understand how to use different operating systems, server operating systems, and install web server software on that. So this is how we can create virtual machines and host different web server operating systems on the servers. All right. I'll see you guys in the next session. Take care.